The other one I would say is kind of the fall off of Washington State. And this is where it gets interesting because there are so many factors going on with that program as they transitioned leagues. Again, let's start off with they transitioned from the Pac-12 down to the WCC. And I know, like, we'll talk about, like, oh, the Pac-12 wasn't all that good, blah, blah, blah. But if you looked one and two, three, okay, maybe like they're like that's comparable. But once you got past that, it was no longer comparable. Like the 8th, 9th, 10th place team of the Pac-12 were clearly better than the 7, 8, 9 teams of the WCC. That's not even up for debate. And Washington State, for as good as they did a year ago, for having a tournament year, a great year under Kyle Smith, they had Jalen Wells is going into the NBA draft. They had a very good year a year ago. And to see what their roster looks like today versus where it was just a few months ago is shocking. They have only 2 returners back, neither of which played significant minutes a year ago. They have 9 newcomers, most of which are transfers in from Eastern Washington that came along with David Riley, which to be expected. It took them a while to kind of finalize the head coaching hire. It took them a while to kind of get going, I thought, on the recruiting front. And I know that the stigma of them dropping a league probably hurt that. But, I mean, at the same time, it's you look at around what the other teams in the WCC did. Gonzaga didn't have a problem. St. Mary's didn't have a problem. USF didn't have a problem. These other Pacific did not have a problem. It seemed like that Washington State has had a harder time making that transition, or at least navigating the transfer portal, than maybe some of the other teams in the WCC. I wonder how much of the uncertainty of they and Oregon State has played into this, and how much it really does seem like players, coaches, everyone is kind of on a wait and see with those two, and don't want to overcommit to those two programs, knowing that there's some uneasiness about them. And Washington State, I feel like they don't look anywhere near the team that they were. Now, I will say, like, they did bring in the Washington transfer, Nate Calmes, which I think is a really good addition. He didn't play a whole lot last year. Was former Southland Conference freshman of the year when he was at Lamar 2 seasons ago. He did score 15 against Arizona this past year. So they do have one guy from a power program that I think is coming in who's going to immediately make an impact for them. But a lot of people thought that this team might still be able to kind of hang on and be a top 3, top 4 team in the WCC. But once Kyle Smith left, once the exodus began, that all flew out the window. And now looking at this team, you're probably looking at somewhere between 5 and 7 would be about my pick right now of where I think Washington State would finish. So a mid-tier WCC team as they look like right now. So one of the bigger surprises, and maybe it shouldn't have been a surprise, was just the drop off, the fall off this offseason of Washington State.